Hi everyone. So I was here in my bedroom and like I was envisioning a different like experiments like in my mind concerning water distilling, and I thought of like okay, a lot of like the units out there. Man, I wish I could like illustrate this further or better with images and stuff like that. But I'll do it just verbally because I don't really need to show images. So think about I thought of like a dome idea with a pattern on the ceiling of it. But then I right now I'm thinking, what if there was multiple layers and each layer acted like a gutter stream. So when the moisture goes in these channels and it cools down, condenses or whatever, it won't go back into the hot water. It'll go, into the purified water, therefore maximizing the water distilled water input. And like I can see like something simple like little holes, like little round holes with a small little lip. So when the moisture goes in, and then they will be, zigzagged for each layer or distorted in each layer, shifted in each layer. So the pattern will shift like to the right and then to the left, kind of like a brick pattern. The first brick is placed one direction, then the other one on top doesn't get aligned with the other one. It goes half and half with two, right? So kind of like that. Kind of like plants, you know, if you look at them from one angle, it looks like they're all aligned, but if you look at them from a different angle, they're all aligned, but you can't see through it, So that, I don't know, that type of thing. so like, so the water will be able to go through, the moisture will be able to go up, rise. Then when it condenses, and then if water happens to be dripping right there where the hole is, it'll fall and land on the tray of the other layer. The only one of concern would be the one right there by the heating source. But that one could have the pattern, in case, because there is going to be probably a little bit more moisture going on there, but that water can go down. So basically, I just seen like a kind of like a netting or like a webbing within the empty space. So the air molecules will have something to cling to besides, or not only the, like the dome, but all through that space. So it'll be breaking down those molecules to maximize the the water input in the cleaned distilled water chamber. So is that simple, right? And I probably thought about some stuff like that already. I'm not sure, but like right now there's a lot of water distilling units available on the market, and I never seen anything like that. So basically, instead of the moisture immediately coming out and then dropping into a different container, that's where the distilled water goes into, it'll basically have more of a riser with this pattern sequence that I'm talking about, and then it'll have like a downspout to go into the clean water tray, and it'll basically be more advanced. So we will definitely need to upsell, people that are buying these units, because it will yield more clean water. So for that reason, of course, it would have to be sold more just for the parts, you know, and stuff like that. So, like I'm not even thinking about making money off this. I'm just thinking how we can make it better, so like improving it further. Um, and there will never be an opportunity for the dirty water to have contact with the the pattern and the different layers above. It's only for the moisture to go up and break up the moisture molecules, and to condense it to water, so it could go and so it could retain that heat there, and not, like it won't require that much electricity, in other words, because the the unit the moisture will basically, it will basically cause the water to instantly fall down, but because it's going to be so hot, but that's after the moisture goes up. It's not going to be able to go anywhere, so obviously it's going to have contact with the layers above, and it's going to act like a magnet, and it's going to force that water into the the clean water chamber, the distilled water chamber. And ultimately that's all we want, right? And this will also be a great idea for solar, like just no electricity, just the sun, and allowing the thermal heat to convert distilled water, utilizing the wastewater or whatever. So just things to consider. Like, I can also see a different pattern, and it's basically like a cylinder that's round, and each stage will be a small increase all the way, and then the next one, and then the next one will get bigger, the next one will get bigger, the next one will be bigger, and they will all be at like a 45-degree angle. So when the moisture goes up, it will go down on that. But I don't think it will be that effective as my other idea, the first idea I had. But that's just a different concept. Um, it could also have a cone effect, a cone with an opening at the top, and obviously the water will go up, the moisture will go up, and then it will instantly condense in there. But anything over will go above that cone, and that will be guaranteed water that will get condensed. And basically, that's all I'm trying to, figure out in my mind. So I just seen that pattern thing, and they could be domes, in that unit, and obviously there could be layers like lids that go over, like a pattern, and when the water runs down, it will lead to a tube that will be connected, and obviously the last one, the ultimate one, will be the cap, so end it. And all, like, if there's any excess moisture, it will come down the downspout um, pipe where the distilled water is at. But by this point, it wouldn't even matter. Like, most of the water has been broken down, and you're not losing distilled water into the atmosphere because the water didn't have enough time to bond. The air molecules didn't have enough time to bond together to create and form the water molecules. You see what I'm saying? So that will it'll give it enough time to break it down so it can, do its thing. And I think in this way it will work more effectively. But obviously it's just a a theory, and um that's just what I concluded, and obviously it would just have to be experimented on. And I think it's cool because someone out there can make it like in it right now. They can make it right now just by going on the computer, designing something really quickly, and then printing it out. That simple. So I hope that you guys out there will have fun and make it happen. Kind of like, think about it like a ceiling, like different layers, like a skyscraper, like kind of like an apartment complex, like four, three or four or five stories. And think about like a chimneys, the air, the heat will go and rise up all throughout the top. But remembering the pattern sequence, and yeah, so I'm just thinking different stuff, like I'm thinking like I can probably just go back to school, you know, but at the same time, I don't really want to, but I wouldn't mind going to school, especially if I had a sponsor, someone that really wanted me to improve myself, then I would, do it wholeheartedly. But right now I'm just employed with the local 185 Shasta County, and that's what I'm doing, and I'm coming up with different ideas. I thought about like their their striping machines, their vehicles, where there could be a striping machine at the very bottom of the vehicle so it could put the marks down, like the arrows and stuff like that. I also thought about, methods to reduce the amount of paint that is used. So, a team, like students, like a different class, thinking about different designs, different icons, icons that will display the arrows, but the littlest amount of paint possible. So, therefore, maximizing arrows everywhere in the world without us having to consider the wastage, and not just the wastage, but so we won't have an excuse as people why, these streets over here are nice, but these other ones are broken down and look like shit. That won't even be an issue. It will be, you know, like something that will be taken care of because we'll have the money, and we're not, you know, right now it could cost to make one arrow, it could cost like, this much. But if we really think about it, we could probably make 10 arrows at the cost of one. And if we can do that, then we could be saving people's lives. We could be making the roads safer and stuff like that. So we have to think about all that stuff. And of course, people just don't have the time to do that. So that's when different teams, different people would have to, like think about all that stuff. And then once all that's concluded, then that's when like it gets implemented like legally and stuff like that and enforced, because, you know, who has the money to pay more, right? No one does. And no one wants to pay more. Especially if it equals the same. It equals to it's equivalent to, the same safety, the same visibility and stuff like that, like it doesn't make it any. So there's the pros and cons basically, so I think it's a good I think it's a great idea, and I love what the internet is doing for all of us. And I know I keep talking about the internet, but that's my review about the internet, and also how the internet is just like changing all our lives and how it's working for us and stuff like that. It's just amazing. By us just adding a few elements, raw elements, it's able to create such wonders, and I think it's beautiful. Like the engraving machines, the plastic injection machines, the wood carving machines. I mean, there's so many things out there. It's just it's wonderful. It's crazy. Like they have the rovers. Like they always talk about rovers being in Mars, but there's probably some in Earth right now. You know, excavating. Drilling the fucking mountains. Who fucking knows? Nothing's impossible. Fucking um, meteorites and shit. There's probably some in motherfucking Mercury right about now. Like, nothing's impossible. And honestly, like, I'm just here at home. I'm taking it slow, like just one day at a time because that's all I can do. But I'm not going to stop innovating and talking about my ideas because even if they're stupid or people mock them or if I get bad reviews or bad, um, if I get bad, feedback, like I'm just trying and it's just my viewpoint. Whether people adopt to it or whatever or implement on top of it or you know get it out the table, it's irrelevant to me. It doesn't really bother me. It's not going to hurt me. It's like I could move on to a different idea. Like everyone wants to talk about this idea. Like fine, great. Everyone's on the team on that idea. Why the fuck do they need me if I can move on to the next idea, right? So that's what it's all about. It's all about innovation. And there's a lot of people out there who are on this fucking level. So, don't listen to negative people and don't get offended if people are saying negative things. Don't get offended. Like just move on. It's like going to school and the class is making fun of the smartest student because they know how to solve, you know, mathematical equations or whatever, or whatever the case may be. Um, like people, like students calling other students the teacher's pet or whatever. Like that's funny, and that's funny especially when someone is on the same level as yourself, you know, and they're just saying it sarcastically. But then there are some people who are really saying it just to be complete fucking assholes, and they just don't give a fuck, you know. So there's a difference. So anyways, just another idea, right? Another day, another dollar here in California, Redding, California, United States. Suck it easy, ladies.